You are listening to Let's Talk Trio on podcasts. Keep up with the latest episodes by downloading the Podbean app or stream episodes via our social media accounts. Search for Let's Talk Trio on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. This podcast episode is brought to you by Longsdale Publishing. Is your program seeking ways to assess your students' college readiness? Does your program need a tool to document the effectiveness of your program? Longsdale Publishing is excited to offer the Strategic Learning Assessment, a 20-minute online assessment that provides recommendations and strategies to improve academic performance across 11 learning areas: communication, critical thinking, effective learning strategies, focus and concentration, growth mindset, persistence, seeking help, sense of belonging, stress management, test preparation, and time management. For as little as $3 per student, the Strategic Learning Assessment identifies strengths and areas for growth, along with tailored recommendations for each learning area. Want a complimentary sample account for yourself and 5 students? Contact Longsdale Publishing at 727-389-8026. Again, that number is 727-389-8026. Or visit our website for more information at www.longsdale.com. That website again is www.longsdale.com. Longsdale Publishing, your partner in student success. This episode is sponsored by Student Access. Student Access, the leader in Trio software. Student Access is an online database solution that allows Trio programs to track their students' information, connect with students by text messages, streamline the APR, and work from anywhere, all online, with automatic updates for changes from the Department of Education. Their technical support team includes former Trio staff and has over 50 years of combined experience working with Trio. Make it easier to focus on your priority, the students. For more information and to request a free demo, visit their website at www.studentaccess.com or call them toll-free at 1-800-801-1232. That website again is www.studentaccess.com or 1-800-801-1232. Be sure to share your favorite episodes on your social media by tapping that share button. This is a great way to support the podcast. Now here's your host, Juan Rivas.
Thank you, Amelia, for that wonderful introduction. Hello, listener, and welcome to this episode of Let's Talk Trio. This is Season 7, Episode 7. I am your host, Juan Rivas. In today's episode, we have Joseph Joe Madrid, Trio alumni and academic services coordinator for the Trio Upward Bound program at Clovis Community College in New Mexico. Joe is on the podcast to share his life experience, Trio journey, and college experience. Coming up in just a bit, Joseph Joe Madrid. A heartfelt thanks to our individual supporters, Angelica Vialpando, Rosario Riley, Dr. Ryan Barone, Dr. Jamie Motley, Dr. Jeff Nepute, Angelica Valdez, Felicia Rivera, Eric LaMaster, Jeff Kahlden, and Jaded Electronics. Thank you to our corporate sponsors, TrioJoblist.com, NOSOTROS Education Center, TheTrioStore.com, powered by Proforma. Visit www.thetriostore.com, your source for Trio graduation stoles. Longsdale Publishing, and Student Access. Thank you so much for your support of this podcast. You too can be a sponsor of the podcast Head on over to Patreon and search for Let's Talk Trio. Choose one of 4 patron levels. You can support this podcast for as little as $1 a month. If you own a business that serves the Trio community and want to sponsor the podcast, we have different sponsorship packages available. Contact us for details. Become a supporter with a one-time donation to the podcast business PayPal account. Our business handle is @Let'sTalkTrio. Your support helps lift Trio voices. If you would like to nominate a participant, staff, or alumni to be on the podcast, send us an email at letstalktrio@gmail.com. That email again is letstalktrio@gmail.com. Again, a great episode featuring Joseph Joe Madrid, Trio alum and academic services coordinator for the Trio Upward Bound program at Clovis Community College. Sit back, relax, and enjoy this episode. Hi, Trio Nation. My guest on the Let's Talk Trio podcast is an alum of the Trio Upward Bound program at Clovis Community College in New Mexico. He attended Clovis Community College in New Mexico and obtained his and is currently working on his associates in liberal arts and currently serves as the academic services coordinator for the very program he was once a participant in. In his spare time, Joseph enjoys watching horror films, reading, spending time with his family, and chatting with his best friend over video chat. Welcome to the podcast, Joseph Joe Madrid. Joseph, welcome.
Hey Juan, thanks for having me.
Wonderful to have you on the podcast, Joe. So good to see you. You have a beard going on, which the last time I saw you was back in like high school when you didn't have facial hair. So it's a little bit of a dissonance for me. I'm seeing you with facial hair.
Yeah, I think the last time I saw you in person probably was when you left Upward Bound here at Clovis, and that was a long time ago. So I got to work with the firefighters a couple years back, I think 2 years ago, and as soon as I quit that, I just let my beard go. So,
it's very fitting. It looks great on you. We're gonna have portions of the clip on our social media, so y'all need to just admire Joe's facial hair because it looks awesome. One thing I failed to note in our intro, and I'll say this now. So, Joe, you were a student when I was the academic services coordinator for the Trio Upward Bound program. So it really truly feels for you, Joe, that this thing is full circle.
It is. I'm super comfortable with you, Juan. I remember the first time I ever met you was actually an interview to be accepted into my Upward Bound program. So it does feel like a full circle.
That's so true. That is so true. Like now that you brought it to that level, I'm like, oh, I'm interviewing Joe technically again.
Yep.
So a long time has passed since your time as a student in Trio Upward Bound. How are you feeling? How have things been?
I'm great. I love the things that are going on for our program. I've been through a few directors, but the lady that I have now, who you have interviewed before, Kellyanne Weber, she's amazing. She makes sure we get everything we need done. We get to do some extra things. We go to conferences and meet lots of other people. So I'm happy as can be here.
That's awesome. Now, you were recently at a conference, no?
I was. Just last week, I was at Trio, New Mexico in Las Cruces.
Can you tell us a little bit about Trio New Mexico? We'll get to the whole conference detail, but tell us a little bit about it. What is it? What is it, and what does it do?
So Trio, New Mexico is our state community of all of the Trio programs in the state. So we have conferences where every Trio program is invited. They have to pay our conference fees, and we get to go travel to whatever town, city we're staying in. And we just have a conference. We get to have dinners together. We eat lunches. We just have a great time, and some professional development goes on. And
I love that. So it sounds like a good moment for Trio, especially for programs in New Mexico, to get together, really network, and talk about how to really increase their professional development or improve in various areas for their program.
Yes, and it's a great resource for us to meet each other. We get to know if we're going to travel to other campuses, we know who we're talking to. We get to meet with the other programs, ask how they work with their programs. differences in the areas, um, where we take our students on trips where we've really liked. So we get to jump ideas off of each other and hopefully help things move smoother than we already have them going.
That's awesome. So earlier in the podcast, we were doing a nice intro for you. I think the audience still really wants to engage on who you are. Can you tell us a little bit about your hobbies, like getting into watching horror films and reading? What is it that you like to read? And yeah, who do you chat often in video chat? Because that was part of your intro. So yeah, tell us a little bit about that.
So, films for me have always been a big thing. That's something that me and my mom did when I was a kid. My sisters didn't really watch a lot of movies with us, so me and my mom would watch movies. She'd check me out of school sometimes to go watch movies. Um, just something I've always really enjoyed. Horror films for me are just really, I want to say comforting, even though it's a little weird,
No,
but
yeah.
I've always liked them.
What is it about horror films that really get people's attention? Because I've heard about this. Like, there's people comfort movies for everybody, right? Like mine is tends to be superhero movies, so anything Marvel for me. But for people like that love horror films, what is it about that you enjoy about horror films?
I don't know what it is. I've always enjoyed them. Maybe I see these terrible things happening in them and I feel better about the things that aren't terrible in my life. So maybe that's what it is.
Right on. Talk to us about chatting with your, because you love spending time with family, but you also have a best friend that you video chat. I imagine that this best friend is miles, miles, miles away that you all have to video chat now.
Yes, my best friend Abby, you know her also. She
I
was in the
remember
program with
Abby.
me.
Yeah.
So we've been friends since third grade.
Hmm.
She moved after graduating high school to Albuquerque, so we were really comfortable chatting there.
Hmm.
But the last few years she's lived in Kahlden, Texas.
Oh,
So
wow.
she's about 8.5 hours away from me. But we
Hmm.
chat every day, either video chat, messaging, regular calling, but
That's
multiple
a
times. I think she's called me twice today. So
that is really a great way to maintain a friendship. So kudos on you. Um, let's talk a little bit about what was your greatest accomplishment so far in 2025. We're in April and recording this episode in April on April 14th. At this point, what do you consider your greatest accomplishment?
I think right now I don't have anything crazy big, but I did just move into, like I said, into my dad's house. Um, I think I've been there a month and a half now,
Oh,
but
wow.
we're finally getting things moving. Everything's unpacked. Everything is looking good. Getting ready to paint some new walls, different colors.
Wow.
But for me, probably moving in and getting settled.
Right on. What is something you want to accomplish this year?
This year I would love to start working on my bachelor's, and actually getting some of those credit hours down.
Right on. What is it that you want to major in?
I would like to go for forensic anthropology.
Forensic anthropology. Right on.
A little
Uh,
different from what I've been doing, but
I was about to say, how does that like, is there a connection there, or is it just something that fascinates you, or you hope to get into the field someday?
so I was going for emergency medical services.
Uh-huh.
I did work on an ambulance for about 6 months.
Hmm.
It was something I loved and maybe would like to revisit one day, but it
Hmm.
just wasn't the time for me right now to keep up with it. But I've always loved sciencey medical things. I love bones. So this just seems like a good path for me right now.
Talk about your upbringing, Joe. Can you talk a little bit about uh, pre Upward Bound, pre high school? What was life like for you?
I'm the third child in a house of four kids. I have two older sisters and one younger sister. I'm the only boy. My parents divorced when I was right after I was born, I think. So luckily for me, my parents were always civil and they hung out with each other and made sure we were all comfortable going back and forth with each other. But I feel like I had a good upbringing. I got to hang out with my sisters and a lot of my cousins.
Hmm.
We live in a small town here in New Mexico, and all of my family's here, so I got to grow up with second, third, fourth, fifth cousins literally for dinner every day. So
Wow.
I always got to have a lot of fun, and that's probably why I have such a good relationship with most of my family.
That's awesome. I tend to find that being near family, that it just makes the community of family just like closer together. You feel a little bit more tight knit.
Oh yeah, we've always been really close. A lot of us always lived in the same house, even
Hmm.
if it was just a couple of my aunts and uncles, and we all lived in the same area. But we always got to be around each other, and most of my cousins are around my age, so
Oh,
we were all
wow.
pretty close.
Can you tell us a little bit about your family dynamic? What was that like?
It was a mess. Three girls in a house with one bathroom.
Uh-huh.
There was hair everywhere all the time. These ladies shed like dogs. That's not nice, but everybody knows it's true. Um, it was great. I don't know.
Can you tell
My
us like it sounds like you got along with your sisters very well. Most of the
more
time
so
at least.
now when we're older.
Oh,
More
now
so,
that you're older.
yep.
Okay, got it.
As
So
as kids, we didn't really care for each other very much, but we were always there for each other. But we weren't always the nicest of siblings.
I reflect when I was writing out this question, and usually when I ask the interviewees, they talk about like how they related to their sibling one way or another. But it forced me to think like, man, if I were to ask my brothers and sisters, would we be friends while we were growing up if we were not related to each other? Like, if we did not know each other, would we be automatic friends? And I think my sister Martha, she's like, definitely not. With the other three of you guys, I'd definitely not be friends. I'm like, oh, that makes sense.
I can see
So
that. I
no,
know Martha too, so I
oh
could
yeah,
see
that's
her saying
right.
that.
Oh, Martha, she'd be like, no, I would not be friends with any of y'all. I'm like, oh, okay, no, that makes sense.
That's exactly how I think my sisters would say.
And I think for the I guess because I consider myself an optimist, I'm like, I would try, and then the realist sets in, and I'm like, oh yeah, no, I would not try.
No, I agree.
So, how would your family describe you, Joe? Just your personality, how you got along with folks. How would they describe you?
Well, I would like to say that my family think that I'm helpful and kind, but I know they would all say I'm helpful.
Oh, good. Yeah.
Maybe I'm not the nicest person all the time, but I'm always there for them when they ask, when they need something. They can always trust in me and expect me to be there. So I think for
Yeah.
me, that's enough.
See, as far the longest I've known you, when you were starting off with Upward Bound, I thought you were always conscientious. Like you were very much aware of if people needed help, or you were aware of people's feelings. Um, I w and I say that because like you were just uh a kind person that knew how to read people. Like you had that gift. Tell me if I'm wrong.
I try to. I'm a tiny person. I gotta know how people feel. I don't want to be stepped on all the time.
Well, I mean, I think it wasn't because like that. It was more of a like a you truly knew how to read a person because it's I don't for some people it's difficult to read people. It's difficult to socialize or to try to get a feel of what they're saying. And you're like, you know what? I get what you're saying, and I know where you're coming from. So you were always very conscientious anyway. Um, what is something that you enjoy doing with your family?
We like to eat, so we
Eating.
we always eat a
Awesome.
lot. Me and a few of my sisters, we like to watch a lot of TV. We hang out a lot with my nieces. I have five nieces,
Wow.
so we're always around each other, especially the little ones. We have three little ones. One's
Mhm.
5, a 3-year-old, and a 2-year-old. So we're always chasing somebody.
And vastly
Um,
different personalities, right?
oh yeah, we're all different. So
Oh my gosh.
it's a bit of a struggle sometimes, a lot of bickering, but
How does you as an uncle juggle between their personalities? Because I imagine that must be difficult.
It is. I don't like to be sticky, so especially with all the kids, kids are always sticky.
Oh yeah,
But
because they're
I love them.
yeah,
I
yeah.
love my nieces. I love having them around. They always put a smile on my face. Whenever I'm feeling sad, I just have to video chat one of them and they light up my life.
Oh good. That is so awesome.
We'll be right back after a word from our sponsor.
Are you seeking guidance to enhance your TRIO project's effectiveness and success? Look no further. NOSOTROS Education Center, NEC, is here to empower your TRIO project with expert consulting services. NEC's mission is to promote the effectiveness and impact of TRIO programs. Since 2003, NEC has specialized in providing professional development and in-service staff trainings, allowable cost services, for TRIO projects across the country. The team at NEC, with over 60 years of combined TRIO experience, offers customized workshops and seminars for project staff, compliance assessments, external evaluations, working on and submitting APRs, database customization and training, developments of policies and procedures manuals, and project implementation or reorganization services. Additionally, NEC has secured over $774 million in federal funding with a 92% success rate through their live and on-demand proposal workshops, assistance with data collection and review, detailed technical reviews, and comprehensive proposal development services. Join the hundreds of colleges, agencies, and TRIO projects across the country who benefited from NEC's expertise. Nosotros Education Center, your partner in TRIO's project success. Visit their website at nosotros.edu.org. Again, that's nosotrosedu.org.
And now, back to the podcast.
Joe, can you share your earliest memories of school? What do you remember most?
I remember I've always had a lot of friends in school. I wasn't always the most popular student, but I always had a lot of friends.
Mhm.
I remember having a group of 4 or 5 of us, and we were the shortest kids in school, in our age group at
Shortest.
least. We were
Uh-huh.
the shortest. There's, and I think you know at least 3 of them from the
Hmm.
program when you were here.
Let's
Um,
see.
uh, I don't know if you remember anybody's names,
I,
but
you'll be surprised. So I know you, I know Abby,
okay,
Tracy.
okay. And
Um,
I know you know Jessica Trujillo, so it was her
yeah,
little brother George.
George, yeah,
He
yeah.
was one of my friends, and we were all little tiny kids. And I think he ended up one of the taller ones out of the group. So
He grew up.
he was lucky there.
Right on. So,
But I think
yeah.
that I remember my small group of friends that we were always hanging out together on playgrounds, and we're from a small town, like I said, so we would see each other at Walmart and
Yeah.
everywhere out and about.
So we heard from Kellyanne and her perspective of Clovis. You being born in Clovis and being
Mhm.
from that area, can you give us your perspective of Clovis, New Mexico?
I Growing up, I didn't super like Clovis. There's not a lot to do, especially
Hmm.
for younger students or kids. Um, Now that I've gotten older, we've gotten some more shopping centers, some more food places.
Mhm.
It's not as bad as people like to make it out to be. If you
I,
make time
yeah.
to do something or find something to do, it's great. We have lots of garden places. We have a
Hmm.
couple breweries and wineries in the area, so it's not that bad of a place to be.
It sounds like it really changed from the last time I've actually been there, like been there full time, living in Clovis. It sounds like it drastically changed. So it's a lot more to do now than before.
Oh yeah, yes, there's a lot more to do, just especially from whenever I was in high school. There's so much more.
Joe, was school something you enjoyed, or did you find some internal resistance to it? Was it like, and I hear you when you say you connected with friends, that was like really a place for you to be social. but what did school mean to you? Was it something like you gravitated toward? Was it there some internal resistance? Yeah, what part of the spectrum was that for you in school?
School was not my friend.
School was not your friend. Interesting.
Not at all. I
Yeah.
was not the best student. And I don't want to say it was because of the schooling. It was just me. I didn't try my best. I didn't go out of my way to do better.
Mm,
So I consistently had C's or lower.
mm.
And I know that's not great, but for me, it wasn't the best thing.
I think you and I are kindred spirits in that end, in that I don't know if this is you, call me out if it's not, but you just flew under the radar, did enough just to not get bothered or get hassled.
Yes, I tried my best to be that way. I would do what I could, but I wouldn't do anything extra.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
I can
and
relate
it
to
was
that.
hard. I couldn't figure out why it was so hard for me, and I just didn't like it. I didn't want to ask for help, so I strung along as best I could.
Yeah. Did you find that you were contending with your family when it came to school? Like, did they place a lot of importance in school, or do you feel like they supported you no matter what? Like, yeah, it's probably school's problem, but just keep doing it.
My family did want me to do better in school. My mom and my dad, they pushed me to do better and to try harder. As a kid, it didn't make a difference. My parents tried to push me.
Yeah.
Um, they weren't there at school, so I didn't get that extra push while I was at school. On my homework, I would go home and they'd make sure I'd do it, and there'd be lots of tears for me to get it done.
Oh, yeah.
But then I'd go to school and leave it in my backpack and never turn it in. So I think it was a lot of self-sabotage.
Mm. And there's like a quote about self-sabotage, but it's really about a self-fulfilling prophecy of like, I know I'm not going to do well in this assignment. It's not a good assignment. It's not going to reflect well on me. So if I turn it in or I don't turn it in, it's not going to make a difference. So I totally understand that. Totally understand that. Um, while in school, did you get engaged with any extracurricular activities or anything that helped you stay engaged with school?
Up until high school, no. But
Hmm.
once I got into high school and I got into Upward Bound, I participated like crazy. I did
Mm.
everything I could for Upward Bound. I
Hmm.
remember being in writing club that we had. We had a book club, and I went to every meeting for both of those. I showed up to every Enrichment Saturday session. I was at tutoring every day.
You are super committed. I'm
I
wondering,
was.
like, yeah, because preparing for high school, I think one says, all right, and me going to high school was a long, 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 long time ago. But I remember my mom having to talk with me about like what you can and cannot do while in high school. This is what you're going to prevent yourself from doing in high school. I'm like, I'm a good kid. I'm not going to do any of those things. But do you remember like how did you prepare for high school? Was there any conversations that your parents had with you?
Not really. I think I remember my dad telling me that I needed to try harder,
Mm.
especially with my handwriting. My handwriting has it's really never been good, and I know he's never really liked it. So he always tried to pressure me to do better so that I could be more legible and my teachers would grade me better. Uh, but I know they wanted me to do well in school, and they knew it was hard for me, but they were always there trying to help.
I know this is kind of early on in this discussion, but I want to just kind of get where your mind was at in ninth grade or entering high school. Were you thinking about going to college or pursuing any sort of post-secondary education at that point before entering?
At the at that point, eighth to ninth grade, no, I don't
Hmm.
think I had a strive for college. My parents didn't really go to college. My mom had a cosmetology degree, but my dad had always worked in factories and like the cheese plants or
Hmm.
dairy farms. So I never really put a lot of thought into going to school at that
And
point.
yeah, yeah. And is college something that your parents brought up to you? Like, were they hoping you would think about it or put like a little seed in your mind?
I think they would try to talk about it, but
Hmm.
they would never push it. They didn't go really themselves. My mom did cosmetology, but nothing against cosmetologists. I love them. If you see pictures of me, I have orange hair right now, so
And it looks great, by the way.
thank you.
Um, So I imagine that the conversation went like, if you can go to college, try to go to college. It would make life easier. But at the time, I think for a lot of early high schoolers, it's like that's the last thing in their mind. They don't want to be thinking about college. They want to be able to enjoy their time in high school. So this is the part where we talk about your trio origin story.
Okay.
How and when did you learn about the trio Upward Bound program?
So I learned about the Tree Upward Bound program. You mentioned Tracy. She's
Yeah.
my best friend's older sister. She she had started in the program the year before we got in because I was able to start the summer of 2009.
Hmm.
So I believe she was making her sister do the program, my best friend Abby, and she told me about it and said, "I'm doing this summer program. You should apply so you can do it with me."
Hmm.
Um, I remember filling it out and not really putting too much effort into it.
Hmm.
I set up an interview with you and my father. We showed up to CCC, and I remember sitting at the desk with you and talking about it. And
That's
I
right.
feel like I remember telling you I didn't want to do the summer program.
I do remember that. Yes.
And the very first day of the summer program, the bus pulled up to my house and honked, and my friend George jumped out and knocked on the door. They waited 10 minutes for me to get up and brush my teeth, and
You were doing
I
the summer
was,
program.
yep, sure was. And for me, it was probably the best thing that's ever happened.
Wow. Do you feel like entering into the summer program, what was the most interesting thing about CCC Trio Upward Bound? Was it the summer program itself? Now, obviously, we're learning that there was a resistance for the summer program, but what was it that drew you? What was it that like finally hooked you to it?
Uh, Probably the first trip that we went on. I think we went to UNM or NMSU.
Hmm.
I can't remember which one it was, but we went to one of those, and I had never been away from my family on a trip. I
Hmm.
think I had only been to Albuquerque once.
Wow.
So getting to go with friends and people that I liked, and we got to go tour campuses and do things that I never thought I would be able to do, that it was a big part of my life that I didn't know we could do things like that.
I think and
And
it's
we hadn't even left New Mexico yet.
right. Yeah, it's a mind shift when that happens, right? And again, I kind of look at you and I had two different upward bound experiences. Mine was with Eastern and going up with Eastern New Mexico University upward bound. But I see the parallels of uh, the college trips help kind of expand our thinking about what it means to be in the program and the possible paths that exist. Like, and I'm not sure if you feel this. I don't want to put any words in your mouth, so stop me if I'm wrong. Um, Before I entered Upward Bound, I always felt like there was only this very narrow path that I was going to work with my dad, and that was like ultimately where I was going to end up. And then after Upward Bound, it felt like 10 different paths open up, and I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't know this was possible. But in your own words, tell us how did that make you feel, or what did you feel after that first trip?
It was I it was very eye-opening.
I
Got to
love
see
that.
that there's so many things out in the world and so many, like you said, other career paths and things to do. I got to see a lot of older students, how excited they were about seeing these college campuses and talking about what they wanted to do. I remember having a friend that said that she wanted to uh be a talk show host.
Oh yeah, yeah, uh-huh.
Who thinks of wanting to do things like that?
Yeah.
It's so cool and creative that you can do different things and go to school to do these different things. It was really eye-opening. I thought from a small town I was going to end up working in a restaurant or hopefully owning a restaurant like my grandparents did, but I didn't see anything further until I got to travel and see
Wow.
different programs that colleges offer and ways to do it.
What is something you learned while with the Upward Bound program?
It's not too late to do something that you really enjoy.
Mm,
And it doesn't matter what degree you have, you can always do something that you enjoy.
I love that,
Uh,
Joe. That's really good.
we like you've had Kellyanne on here. She went to school, I know, for she went for like the performing arts for a
She
while, and
did, yeah.
she's running a trio program.
And
You never
yeah,
know what's going to happen, but things open up, and you get to walk through these doors and meet new people, do different things.
I'm gonna put hold up a mirror on you for a second. Did you ever think you would be working for an upper down program?
When I was a student, no, I didn't. I loved the people that worked with me when I was a student, but I never thought that I would have been in the position to mentor these students and talk them into going to college and help
Yeah.
them find a way into college and how to pay for it. So no, I never would have thought I would
Isn't
be
that
here.
isn't that mind blowing though? Like you knowing you as a student and knowing like the paths you took to get here, and I'm excited that you're going to be sharing that story of you. And it's just awesome seeing you in this position where you're mentoring others and you're showing them like there's plenty of paths to get to where you want to be. So
Oh
that's
yeah.
amazing. That only speaks to your ability to adapt and create meaning. And I'm just floored by all the things that you're doing. So kudos to you. What is your favorite memory of Upward Bound?
I I I tried my best to think of something.
Hmm.
I don't have one single favorite memory. I've been working full time with this program for 10 years now, and
Wow.
this May 10 years. And I was in the program for 4. I
Hmm.
work studied for a year and a half
Hmm.
with Upward Bound. I don't have a single favorite memory. There's just a jumble of
Give us
so many.
highlights.
Um, I I remember my we took a students to Las Vegas.
Hmm.
And we were really excited. We showed up to the Stratosphere, and
Hmm.
one of our chaperones had gone early because he was going to bungee jump off of the the Stratosphere.
Wait, they made the commitment to bungee jump from the stratosphere.
Yes,
Oh my gosh.
it's essentially a free fall, I think. And
Oh
he showed
my.
up an hour early. He paid an extra $300 or something like that.
Oh my
We all
gosh.
got to stand under him, and we just looked straight up and watched him jump off the building.
Oh my.
That was really cool.
Yeah.
Now that I think of that, we did get to go indoor skydiving once.
Oh, nice.
That was a really good memory. That was a lot of fun. Um, just hanging out with friends. I remember one of my favorites that I can think of with you, Juan. We
Oh.
went paintballing.
Oh yeah, that's right. We did go paintballing.
We got to go paintballing with you, though. I've never been paintballing since, and I just remember having so much fun.
It was fun.
I wish we had been notified earlier on so we could have bought padding because I don't think
That would
any
have
of
been
us had
great.
any. I remember you had bruises all over your stomach,
Oh, I was
but
welted. I was I
I
was I
think
was beat
that's
up.
as a student, that was probably one of my favorites.
That's awesome. And I remember that was a trip to I'm trying to remember. Was that Texas? I think we were heading
I
down.
think it was Texas. Yep.
But yeah, that was fun. I remember that. That was awesome. I'm glad that made it into one of your highlights. Um, did you have any certain colleges in mind? Because at this point now, you were saying college wasn't even in the radar. Parents were encouraging you, but really wasn't clicking. But now, after Upward Bound, you're saying that's when colleges started opening up, and the idea of college was possible. Were there
Yes.
any?
Like I said, my grandparents had owned a restaurant. I'm sorry, you glitched a minute.
No, no, go for it. No, you're good.
Um, I my grandparents owned a restaurant in Clovis for a while, so I thought that I was going to go for culinary school. I know we toured a couple colleges, and I can't remember which school it was, but it was in Texas. We had gone to Baylor, we'd gone to a couple other campuses, and uh I went to one and I absolutely fell in love with it. They had a culinary program, they had a pastry program,
Hmm.
and I really, really wanted to do that. I think that was my ninth grade year, and
Oh.
I thought I was going to stick with that for a while,
Hmm.
and culinary was not for me.
What was it that made you realize that it wasn't for you? What was the action, or was it something that you saw that you were like, yeah, that's not for me?
No, I think I had started working at Sonic, and I was a cook for a while,
Hmm.
and it was great. I had a lot of fun. I loved working there. I loved the people I was with, but I didn't want to make food for the rest of my life.
I gotcha. That makes sense. Can you talk a little bit about your time in high school? What did you enjoy the most?
I made a lot of friends in high school. Like I said, my best friend I'm still friends with since third grade. I have a good handful that I still talk to. Um, like I said, school wasn't for me, high school at least.
Mhm.
Uh, so probably just the friends that I made. I'm still friends with a lot of the workers from Upward Bound. They were work studies or full-time position work people. And I still communicate with them pretty frequently. So probably just the relationships I built when I was young.
That's awesome. What was going through your mind as you approached high school graduation? When you got close to graduation, what was something that kept in your mind, or maybe something you thought about often?
I think when I was getting close to graduation, I was freaking out a lot.
Really? Why?
Like I said, school wasn't for me. I didn't do very well. I was missing a handful of credits by the time I was getting close to graduation. I
Hmm.
remember I sat down with the academic services coordinator of the program at the time with our high school counselor,
Hmm.
and she told us, "Joe, you're not going to graduate this year."
Oh.
And for me, that just it was such a big thing, and it was so horrible for me. We got me into an alternative school that was here in Clovis at the time. The academic services coordinator showed up. She would take time out of her day to show up at the alternative school to make sure I was there and I had everything that I needed.
Hmm.
Um, she did that every day for the last half year of my high school, my senior year.
Hmm.
Um, but I just thought I wasn't going to make it. I struggled a lot. I cried a lot, but I finished.
You did, and you did amazing. So, what did graduating mean to you and your family when you graduated high school? What did that mean for you and for your family?
For me, it was a really big achievement. I know for my parents, they were really proud of me. I think my little sister was really proud of me. She saw how much I had struggled, and she knew she was struggling a lot too. She's 2 years younger than I am, and I knew she didn't want to have the same problems that I did. So I think it was a big step that she saw me meet, and she wanted to do better or just as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think for all of us, it was just a big accomplishment that meant a lot. I worked hard for it, at least that last semester.
I imagine that you put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into the final semester
I
just to
did.
finish. Wow. Yeah.
I had gone to night school. I went to school most of the day. I worked still, so I tried to get as much as I could done and
Yeah.
worked out.
And you did it. You
I
did it
did
and
it.
you made it through. What steps did you take to transition from life to attending community college? So you went to from graduating high school, now going to community college. Was that an immediate shift, or did you take some time in between high school and going to community college?
So with Upward Bound, at least my Upward Bound program, we have the summer bridge program.
Mm.
So after we graduate high school, we're asked to take two summer classes just to bridge that transition so that they
Hmm.
still have Upward Bound there. They can help them out, make sure they get going and they have everything they need. So for me, I took two summer classes. I passed those, did great. I had a lot of fun with them. I started my first semester in the fall. I took four classes
Hmm.
and they got hard for me, so I stopped going to three of them. I didn't think about my GPA. I didn't think about withdrawing. I
Mm.
failed those three classes and I passed one of them because the academic services coordinator at that time, who I was work studying for, was the instructor. So I got a B in that class.
All
Luckily
right.
for me, I didn't have to pay anything back to financial aid,
Oh, good.
but I did have to take a semester off. So
Yeah.
then I took the rest of that year. I moved to Albuquerque. I did some work over there.
Hmm.
Um, couldn't afford it by myself, so I had to move back to Clovis.
Mhm.
Um, then I lived with my sister. I worked a couple of jobs, and then the upward bound specialist program or upward bound specialist position at this program opened up,
Mhm.
and I asked the director of the time if I could apply. She said, apply for it. The worst I can say is no.
Mhm.
So I did that, and then I started taking college classes after I started working for Upward Bound. Um, I did my best. I couldn't go full time with full time work and full time school,
That's
so I
hard.
took. Yeah, it is. It is a lot. It's a lot. So I went to school part time. It took me a while, but I finally got my associate's degree also.
Right on, right on. So it's not like like full-time work, then finding a full-time job, for a full-time job, and then going to school part-time. That was itself a whole juggle. How did you handle that? And how did you prioritize school and work and your own personal life?
A lot of my friends didn't live here in Clovis anymore, so it wasn't too hard for me to not hang out or go out and do anything. It was a struggle for me to tell my family I have homework.
Mm-hmm.
My family, like I said, we love to eat. We love to go out to eat. So that's the time that we spend together. Um, but for the last couple years, I had to say I have homework. I can't go tonight or maybe this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to make time for schooling. For me, I knew it was something that I really needed and that I wanted. So I had to make time for it.
Wow. And prioritizing, it sounded like you were really getting a handle of how to be able to balance school, work, and personal life. Um, Scheduling all that, again, it feels like it's a monumental task. Can you tell us a little bit about what you enjoy about CCC, and tell us a little bit about the experience you had with CCC?
As a student, CCC is great. I love my instructors that we always have. They're always very accommodating and they're open. If you they always make time for their students. If we reach out and we have a problem, they do their best to make sure it gets solved. Um, if I needed the electronics for like a laptop, they make sure they have somebody I can check one out from. They stay late sometimes for office hours to make sure they get everybody seen. I really enjoy our instructors here on campus. They're wonderful. Working here has been great. I've been here 10 years and I don't see me leaving anytime soon.
Right
So
on.
I love the community that we have here. Everybody's pretty welcoming and they love their jobs. We love each other. So it's great to be here and we get to hang out and be a nice, fun CCC community.
That's awesome. This is my own experience. I've worked with several community college. I've also worked for various big institutions. And one of the things that I often tell students about the differences between both is that with a community college, it just feels a little bit closer and feels like you have more safety nets, whereas a bigger university or four-year institution, it feels like it's almost a sink or swim experience if you don't know who to talk to. So I'm not sure if like,
I can see that.
yeah. With CCC, you felt a lot of, I hope that there was a lot of community support, folks that knew you and know of your work. So did you feel like there was a lot of support there?
I feel like there is a lot of support. There was, and there still continues to be. We're a small community college, so a lot of us know each other personally and just from work. But we make time to get to know each other, and we know what each other does for a living, what we do here at the college. We're all here for students, so we work together to make sure we're all doing what we can for the students. So
Absolutely.
we all just try to click and make sure it's all a streamlined workaround for the students. Um, and I feel like we do the best that we can.
Absolutely. So you've held different positions. I've heard you talk about in high school, it was uh, positions in Sonic. It was positions in some jobs in Albuquerque. And then you landed your role here with Upward Bound. It seems like the jobs clicked with you. Like you really felt a click with these jobs with Trio Upward Bound. Can you tell us about the path that led you to your current position?
I started working at, like I said, at Sonic when I was in high school. I worked there just about 2 years. I wanted to be a manager, so I started manager training. I ended up quitting that job. And then I think I work studied after graduation here for about a year and a half before I moved to Albuquerque. I loved working for Upward Bound in the office. It was great. I got to learn how to use Excel and everything like that. Just office management and filing paperwork. Then when I moved to Albuquerque, I worked at Sonic again. I worked at a new accounts credit cards call center.
Mm-hmm.
Um, what I realized, I think in Albuquerque is that I enjoy people.
Mm-hmm.
I like to work with people. I like to see their faces. I like to make them smile. So whenever I moved back to Clovis, I started working as a security guard at the local cheese plant.
Mm-hmm.
Um, didn't like that. I worked overnight. I didn't see a lot of people, didn't talk to a lot of people. So whenever this position for Upward Bound opened up, I jumped at it. I
Right
knew I
on.
was going to get to spend time with people and students again, and I could make people laugh and try to better themselves. So I jumped at it and I had the opportunity. So
What was that interview experience like for you? Like having to interview for this position, for a professional position?
it was terrifying.
Yeah.
I remember being so nervous. I knew we do a panel here. We
Mm-hmm.
have three people at least on the panel for the interviews. Luckily for me, I knew all of them from the program. They all had either worked with us before or they had major parts. I know the director and the academic services coordinator were there. Um, so I told them everything I could. I told the truth. I tried to talk myself up. I told them that I knew how the program worked. I knew who we worked with already because I had lived the program.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I remember crying in the interview.
Oh,
I
was it
was
was it a
20
particular
years old.
question? Yeah. Was it a particular question that kind of like hit personally, or was it as you were telling a story or your personal story that those emotions came out?
It was probably telling my personal story and why I wanted the program and why I
Mm-hmm.
felt I was the best candidate for it. But
Thank you for sharing that,
I
Joe.
think being in the program, living it, going on trips, I knew how things worked with us and I knew what didn't work for us. So I
Mm-hmm.
felt I would be a good asset to have.
Absolutely. So you've taken quite a journey to get to this point. You currently serve as the Academic Services Coordinator for Trio Upward Bound. When I say that title out loud, how does that land for you?
It still feels big.
Yeah?
It does. For me, being a student in the program, the academic services coordinators always were wonderful. They always went out of their way to make sure my grades were passing. They sat with me with my instructors.
Mm-hmm.
They just went out of their way to make sure I was taken care of and I had the tools that I needed to succeed.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, there's some pretty big shoes to fill in, you know?
You're filling them in wonderfully. And from what I've seen on your social media posts and the works that you've been doing, it's not only do I admire that, I'm like floored by why you do because you go above and beyond for your students. You're there creating that mentorship, creating the engagement opportunities for students, and you're creating. I don't know if you know this or not, or you if people have said this, you are creating opportunities. You're providing students with opportunities to continue on the path to success.
We do what we can.
You are ever so humble. You are ever so humble. So, as you know, we had Kellyanne, your director, on this podcast not too long ago. Do you want to share any words you'd like to say to Kellyanne?
For Kellyanne, I've worked with her for 8 years now. She's a wonderful person. If you ever get to know her personally, do it. She'll put a smile on your face every time you're around. Um, she's always gonna make you laugh. But if I wanted to tell her anything, I'd tell her thank you. Thank you for believing in me. She's always pushing me to do better. She wants me to always grow my skills and try harder at something. Um, thank you for taking us to our conferences, regional, state conferences. We get to meet so many different people.
Mhm,
Uh,
mhm.
for me, it's so great. I get to see other people that have similar jobs to me and what they get to do for their students, and I get new ideas on what we should try next and where we should go, take the students to see. So thank you. Thank you for always giving me these opportunities. I really appreciate it.
I know we've covered this a little bit before, but I really want to know what have you enjoyed most about your position? Because this position really affords the opportunity for you to connect with students and create engagement opportunities, like I said earlier. But what do you enjoy most about it?
The students. I enjoy seeing the students grow. We used to take pictures of them when they would come in as freshmen,
Hmm.
and then we'd take pictures every year as they would go through high school,
Hmm.
and we would compare them from their first day of Upward Bound to their last day of Upward Bound, and
Wow.
I always get emotional about it. Uh,
Yeah,
they just the students, I love to see them. They I don't even know what to say. It's just uh yeah, I love to see the students. I have one of them recently graduated with I think her bachelor's, but she's becoming a physician's assistant.
oh wow. Yeah,
And
yeah.
she's one of the ones that I had I was in the working and she was a student. So for me it's crazy how far she's gone and things that she's got
Yeah.
to do. Um I love to see the students in Clovis that stay here. Some of them don't go to school, and that's not what we're striving for, but when they some of them become parents and I get to see
Yeah.
them at Walmart, and they're using the skills that we taught them at Enrichment Saturday on how to budget and what you need to buy and what you don't need to have, and you don't have to hang out with your friends all the time. You can purchase things that you need for the house, and
Yeah.
I get to see them doing that. It's so fulfilling for me.
That's awesome. And Joe, I'm just gonna tell you, like, now you know how it feels. Like me from a professional standpoint, now looking at you and you were being one of my students, I'm like, well, now you know how it feels. It
It
really feels like a growth moment, right? You
it really
feel
does.
like they've grown up, they're doing their own thing, and you can't help but admire their growth because they're doing great things, and because of you, that path was provided.
I'd like to think that.
Again, you're ever so humble. So you were a student, now a trio professional. We talked about this kind of pre-show. I'm sure you've noticed a huge shift between these two roles of student and professional. As you reflect on your journey, what does trio mean to you?
Um, Trio for me kind of has always meant family. Um, as a kid, I didn't really talk to my family a lot, so I got to come to Upward Bound and Trio, and I got to speak with the workers and ask for help and for advice, and so for me, it's just a great thing. I'm sorry, one.
Oh, go for it. No, no, no. You got to do your thing.
What was it? Oh yeah, she's fine. I can't hear it in here. Oh, in here, I'm on a. I'm sorry. Sorry.
Was that a student?
Our custodial staff.
Oh, oh, gotcha, gotcha, gotcha.
Yeah, she wanted to vacuum in here.
Well, that's awesome. I mean, you get custodial stuff that goes through there and takes care of your area, so that's awesome. Awesome. I'll make sure to edit all this out, by the way.
Okay, I'm sorry.
And no, you're good. You're good. Start wherever you'd like. If you want to
What was
pick.
the question?
So the question was having this shift between trio professional and trio student. Um, and as you reflect, what does trio mean to you? That was the main question.
Okay. Yeah, there's a huge shift from being a student to professional. We as a student, you get to sit there and be told what to do and what to learn and how to learn it. But as
Hmm.
a professional, you're the one telling the students how to do it and what decisions are probably going to work out better, and whether they listen to it or not, that's up to them, but you get to do your best to push them in the right direction. Um, trio for me has always just meant family. It's something that I've always for me it's been a big crutch. I don't know if that's the right word, a crutch to lean on, something to help get through things. Um, they've always been mentors for me. if I needed a counseling session, I had somebody to talk to. If I needed extra supplies for school, I was able to come to them to get an extra pencil or pack of paper or anything that I really needed. It's family is what I would say.
That's awesome. What is some advice you would like to share with TRIO students? If they're listening to this podcast right now, you've got TRIO students that are in the pre-college, college, and maybe some of them that are thinking about pursuing a master's. What would you say to them?
I would tell these students to ask questions. Get involved in your programs, get involved in things going on in your cities, in your towns, make friends, talk to people, build relationships. Keep in contact with your TRIO professionals, even after you graduate. They're always going to be there. They're willing to help. They want to help you. Make friends with them. If you do, you're always going to have somebody rooting for you. You're always going to have somebody there to help you out. So just keep your mind and your heart open to these people, and you're going to be fine.
And who knows, they might invite you on a podcast someday.
Yeah, they might.
What advice would you share with TRIO professionals?
Almost the same thing.
Really?
Participate.
Okay.
Yeah, participate. Be open for students. Be open to your other workers. Talk to other programs. Meet other programs. Ask for help. Ask for advice. Just be open-minded. Be willing to help out these students. Even there's no dumb questions. We all know that. Listen to them. Give them the best advice you can. Hold their hand if you need to. But be there for these kids. They're the future of our society. They're the future that we have. So treat them right.
That is wonderful advice, Joe. Wonderful advice. Using only one word, describe yourself.
One word to describe myself. I want to say offbeat.
That offbeat. I think that's a nice kind of one word summation of you, from what I've known about you in high school and getting to know you through your social media posts. Be like, yes, I agree to that. I co-sign.
Thank you.
What is something that you're reading, watching, or listening to?
All of the above.
All of the things.
Right now I'm reading the Hunger Games series again.
Mm-hmm.
They came out with a new book, Sunrise on the Reaping. I love them, so I'm rereading those. I'm watching Ghosts. I don't know if you've seen that. It's a comedy show about a lady that sees ghosts in this
I've
manner.
seen clips on TikTok, I think.
It's hilarious. Worth the watch.
So if it's being pushed in my FYP, I feel like I should watch it because I tend to watch shows that are being recommended, and I'm like, oh, I'll give it a shot.
Yep, I think you should.
Okay.
Then I'm always listening to lore podcasts by Aaron Mahnke.
Mm-hmm.
I listen to it to go to sleep. I listen to it when I'm driving to work. It's great. It's lore, so it's a little bit spooky sometimes, but
Ooh. I was gonna ask, can you give us like a brief how would you do an overview of that podcast? What would you say is the biggest draw of it?
If you like spooky, if you like lore, folklore, it's perfect. They talk about fairies and creepy things that go bump in the night, but they also explain where those stories come from and why they are the way that they are and how they've changed by word of mouth. So it's a little bit history, it's a little bit spooky.
I like that. That's awesome.
Yep.
So Joseph, it was a pleasure, and I'll say Joe, it was a pleasure to speak with you and to reflect on your TRIO journey. You've had a wonderful path from student to now TRIO professional. It's truly an honor to get to talk to you about your path, your journey, and being where you are now. So I hope to have you on again as a guest on the podcast. We can talk about more things like what should TRIO programs be doing to help their students? Because you have a great perspective, I think.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity, Juan. I would love to come back anytime. All of these topics would be great, and I'll be writing some down so I have something to talk about next time.
Wonderful. All right, so we have a tradition on the Let's Talk Trio podcast where we have the guests sign off. Do you care to do the honors?
Sure. Thank you for tuning in to Let's Talk Trio. My name is Joseph Madrid, Academic Services Coordinator for the Trio Upward Bound program in Clovis, New Mexico. As the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy reminds us, the answers to the ultimate question, life, the universe, and everything, is 42. We don't have all of the answers here at Trio, but we are helping our students ask the right questions to chase their dreams and to build a brighter future. Thanks again, and remember, Trio works.
Are you a participant, alum, or staff of a Trio program? Do you want your program highlighted? You or your program could be featured in an upcoming episode of Let's Talk Trio. Get a hold of us by going to our Facebook page or Instagram and send us a direct message. Search for Let's Talk Trio. We want to get your story to the public.
You just heard from our guest, Joseph Joe Madrid, Trio alum and Academic Services Coordinator of the Trio Upward Bound program at Clovis Community College. Thank you, Joseph, for being on the podcast and for sharing your Trio journey. Remember, if you would like to be on the Let's Talk Trio podcast or know a staff, advocate, participant, or alumni, send us an email at letstalktrio@gmail.com. That email again is letstalktrio@gmail.com. A heartfelt thanks to our individual supporters, Angelica Vialpando, Dr. Jamie Motley, Dr. Ryan Barone, Dr. Jeff Nepute, Angelica Valdez, Rosario Riley, Felicia Rivera, Eric LaMaster, Jeff Kahlden, and Jaded Electronics. Thank you to our corporate sponsors, TrioJoblist.com, NOSOTROS Education Center, the Trio Store, powered by Proforma. Visit www.thetriostore.com, your source for Trio graduation stoles. Longsdale Publishing, and Student Access. Thank you all so much for your support of this podcast. You too can be a sponsor of Let's Talk Trio podcast in one of three ways. Become a monthly patron on Patreon. Our base level starts at $1 a month. Become a corporate sponsor by placing an ad on the podcast. Contact us for details. Become a supporter with a one-time donation to the podcast PayPal account. Our business handle is @Let'sTalkTrio. I'd like to take a moment to thank our honorary members of the Let's Talk Trio podcast, Roderick Chambers, Tony Ho, Scott Kendall, and Susan Cramp. The Let's Talk Trio podcast team is John Russell, audio engineer, music producer and composer, and post-production editor. Amelia Castañeda, script supervisor, marketing manager, social media manager, and producer. Juan Rivas, executive producer and host. Be sure to follow the Let's Talk Trio podcast on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. This episode was recorded Monday, April 14th, 2025. Thank you so much for listening, and we will catch you on the next episode.